Hi guys, this week for reading, we're going to be talking about mass media literacy. This is going to be a broad overview, and then we'll do some more specific videos throughout the week on the different types of mass media. So we're going to start with, well, what is mass media? So the definition of mass has multiple definitions, but the definition we're using is a large number of people or objects. So think like a crowd. The definition of media, in the sense that we're using it, is the different ways through which information is communicated to the public. So when you put that together, you come up with a definition that really just means the different ways information is communicated to large numbers of people. So that's what mass media is ways that we communicate information to the public as a whole. All right. So there's lots of different types of mass media. It includes print, recordings, cinema or movies or films, radio, television, the internet, and mobile phones. Or now we kind of just tend to say smartphones, but you could have a mobile phone that communicates information that may not be a smartphone. So mass media has a lot of power. I'm going to bring all these up. It plays an important part in our politics because of the information sent out about politics. It helps to shape our public perceptions on important issues. So if there are problems going around in our country, like for right now, it's the coronavirus, that's the big problem everybody's dealing with. Well, how people feel about it, okay, is sometimes shaped by how the mass media presents the information about it. And we'll talk more about that later, but this is kind of a top overview, but just realize it has a lot of power to influence what people think and feel. It also helps to shape our modern culture. So our beliefs, our values, and our common traditions that make up our culture. Okay. So think of it as like when everybody's doing the Fortnite dances. Well, where did that's part of our modern culture, right? These dances have now become so well known that everybody knows, where they came from, what they are, and it's become a tradition. Well, it came from media, it came from a video game, and it influenced, our whole culture. So it's now a known tradition, a known thing. So you have to think of like, even video games have power as a source of mass media. So I'm going to break them down just a little bit. Print media is the first one we're going to talk about. So by print media, we mean paper and ink. Uh, Print media really became part of mass media in the late 15th century. That was when the Gutenberg press was invented, and we'll talk more about it later. But it was the first way that they could quickly and efficiently print multiple copies of documents. So it was the first time that paper and ink writings could be distributed to many people. Some of the things that you might see now as print media: newspapers, magazines, classified ads, circulars, those little like kind of ads that get stuck in like your mailbox, journals, the yellow pages, so like a phone book, if any of you still have phone books, billboards that you see when you're driving down the road, posters, brochures, and catalogs. So those are just some of the different types of print media you might see. Another source of mass media is radio. Radio would be a one-way transmission over radio waves intended to reach a wide audience of people. So they're sending it out, like your car radio. You can't communicate back through this type of radio to them. Okay, we're not talking like two-way radio because that wouldn't be mass communication. But the one-way radio is like the radio that your car picks up. Okay, you can't talk back, but you hear from them. It's been around since about 1910. It's when it started becoming a popular way of communicating lots of information to lots of people. Some different types of radio. There's college radio stations, commercials, so like they try to earn money. Some communities have their own radio stations. There's international broadcasting, meaning radio that's sent to multiple countries. There's just music stations. Pirate stations are stations, radio stations that don't have a license or they're operating illegally. And then public stations that they're paid for by like taxes or donations. Okay, so those are some different types of radio stations. Then, of course, we have televisions. Now we're getting into the ones that you guys are going to be most familiar with and probably use frequently. Telecommunication medium or a tool used for transmitting and receiving moving images. That's what TV is. Okay. And of course, usually with sound. Television has been around since about 1950. Which in the grand scheme of things, when you consider how long print media has been around, TV hasn't been around that long comparatively. You might have things like news, movies, comedy, sports events, audience participation. So like your game shows, like think, when they call down audience members, talk shows, music like MTV, reality-based shows, religious broadcasts. So there's all different kinds of information that you can get from watching TV. All right. Okay, and the internet is probably our biggest use of mass media today. All right, whether that's through a phone or a computer. It was initially, we called it the World Wide Web, which is why when you enter a website, it always has that www at the beginning. That stands for World Wide Web. It's been around in public use starting in the 1990s. And of course, we use websites on the internet to spread information. There's news stations or news websites, blogs where people write about information, social networking sites. So that's like your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wikis like Wikipedia, okay, share information. There's also forums and message boards where people can post their own ideas and thoughts. Internet telephones, so allows you to make phone calls or send faxes over the internet. You guys probably don't do a lot of that, but it is something that we have access to. And of course, we have email, instant messaging, SMS messages, and chat online. So lots of different ways to share information through the internet. Oh, and I forgot this one. Streaming audio. I guess there's two more. Streaming audio like podcasts and internet radios. Like if you listened to Mars Patel last week, that's a podcast. That's streaming audio. And then streaming video. So your webcast, podcast, and our YouTube videos, which is a way a lot of people get their media today. Internet has become probably our number one source of information today. I don't have one for mobile phones, but we use the internet really today to access our information, our mass media through our phones. You are using the internet to do that. And that includes now, of course, apps. So people might get their information through news apps. I have apps on my phones for like the local TV stations so I can get local news and weather sent right to my phone. I have apps for YouTube. We have social media apps. So when you think about all of those different apps that you use on your phone that you get information from, information not that's just sent between you and a friend, like a chat, but like information that's sent out to lots of people, shared with lots of people, that's your mass media, okay, on your phone. So throughout the week, we will break this down and talk a little bit more about how mass media influences people and how some of these specific different types of mass media compare to each other. Okay, so this was just our broad overview. Look for more later this week. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day.